Well, what a match. It was brutal, it was physical, and 3 tries for Munster. They've taken 6 matches to score any against their deadliest rivals, and they did it when it mattered most. Jonathan Sexton put his side into a narrow lead halfway through the second half, but Munster had just enough. Improvisation from O'Gara, Keith Earls with a great touchdown, and then the third try just to really rub it into Leinster wounds. A penalty try that means Munster are the 2011 Magners League champions, and Thomond Park, the fans just behind me, behind Mike Ruddock and Robert Jones, absolutely erupted when that penalty try was awarded by Nigel Owens. Let's hear from Paul O'Connell. He's with Phil Steele.
Well, Paul, even for Munster-Leinster clash, that was some battle, wasn't it? What was it like to play in?
It was a very tough game to play in. They're an incredibly physical side. They retained the ball so well, particularly there in the second half. But our defence is outstanding today. Very proud of our defence, and very proud of, there's been a lot of talk about Leinster and fair play to them for the last week, and we just held tough and tried to stay as strong as we could and really produced a good performance on the day. And the crowd, fair play to them, are outstanding. They've had a tough few weeks, a few months, probably a tough few years, but they're sticking by us through thick and thin. We're very appreciative of that.
I don't know if you remember the point of the match, but you were down to 14 men with Donegal in the bin. There was that turnover on 55 minutes, that tackle on the line. Was that like the galvanising point, did you think?
It's hard to know. I mean, I'd say the galvanising point really was a try. Great cross kick from Raj and great finish by Earlsey. So that gave us a massive lift. They were very disciplined. They weren't giving away a lot of penalties, and the only way we were going to put points on the board was through a try. So to get that try was brilliant for us, and I think maybe the last 10-15 minutes last week told in their legs a little bit.
Congratulations, Paul. Have a great night.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, congratulations to Munster. Gents, you both called it right, actually, before the game, that Munster might just edge. And just in terms of the spectacle, Rob, it didn't disappoint. It was a match that befitted a grand final.
Absolutely. 2 fantastic sides. Desperately trying to play rugby, but the defensive work on both sides was incredible as well. There's no doubt that 10-minute period where they kept their line intact was a crucial point, I felt, in the game. But it was a brilliant game of rugby, and it's great to see Munster win it, deservedly so. It's all about consistency, league rugby. They were there at the top at the end of the normal campaign, 13 points clear, and just finishing off here today.
I know Paul O'Connell kind of played it down, but there was that 10-minute period when Donogh O'Callaghan was in the sin bin. Munster's defence, Mike Ruddock, absolutely superb. Do you feel that this was maybe the turning point in the game?
Yeah, just typified that spirit, that Munster spirit that we know so much about. But it wasn't just that one particular incident. It was that whole 10-minute period when they were man down.
And they had that opportunity, Leinster, as well, didn't they?
But still, you back Munster to knock that off by just jockeying across the pitch and putting their tackles in. They were up for this. We said they'd be up for it. They defended superbly. Leinster had their opportunity to try and go ahead when that man was off the field, and Munster kept them out.
Is that what it comes down to? When you've got 2 teams that are pretty evenly matched, they do know each other very well with their island connections as well, that it can just be maybe that 1 or 2% of wanting it more, I suppose.
Yeah, and there was definitely that from Munster, there's no doubt about it. In the second half, we expected Leinster to come up and go up a gear or 2. They did exactly that. They kept possession, but they couldn't find a way through. And Leinster side, with all the talent, with all the creative ability they have, to actually keep your line intact throughout the game against a side as good as that, just shows that desire and want that the Manchester team had.
And we talked before the game as well about the battle between Jonathan Sexton and Ronan O'Gara. Sexton, we saw, gave his side that very narrow lead and was crucial with the boot. But the Keith Earls try, Mike, was Ronan O'Gara at his best. A penalty there, but advantage played, and the cross kick, brilliant.
Almost because he played advantage. O'Gara showed all his experience and guile to know that he had a free shot at the cross kick. If Leinster intercepted it and ran down the other end of the field, they could come back for the penalty. So he had a free shot. Earls, superb bit of footwork, and he's in for a great finish.
Let's hear from Phil Steele. Again, he's with Munster's mastermind, Tony McGann, the head coach.
He looks the coolest man in the stadium as well. What was it like for you, Tony?
Oh, look, it was a fantastic game, wasn't it? What a great advertisement for the Magners League competition, Celtic League sides. Tremendous reflection of the whole competition.
What did you think was the difference between the 2 sides?
Well, I thought both sides really turned up to play today. It was a fantastic game, great intensity, and we had a few things go our way, but I think the overriding factor was certainly Munster intensity was there.
The sin binning could have been such an important point of the game there, but how important was it that you only conceded 3 points?
Well, it was, and certainly Leinster had the upper hand there for that first 15 minutes, and were able to hang on and only limited them to, I think, 6 points. Tremendous effort from the lads.
Well done, Tony.
Thank you.
Well, no, that stat that stood out before the game was that Munster couldn't seem to score tries against Leinster. They put that to bed tonight. The ball was also in play for 45 minutes of the match, which is pretty outstanding, actually, and the highest in the league so far, fittingly, for the grand final as well. Jonathan has made the way down. I think Richard Parkes would even venture that. I would if they were top of this stand. What did you make from your vantage point?
Well, it was just a great game of rugby. I felt that momentum swung both ways in the second half. Leinster had their opportunities, maybe didn't take them, but Munster came back as we know they do, and topped the Magners League, and maybe the best team throughout the season, and rightly deserved to win it. But Munster had their opportunities, and maybe a little bit of a hangover from last week, with ball retention, and got a little bit tired.
Yeah, Leinster, different experience for them this week. Winners' medals last week, it's losers' medals at Thomond Park this week. Let's hear from the man of the match. There he is, David Wallace with Phil Steele.
Yeah, David Wallace, your turnover on that 55th minute there on your own line, that was the difference we thought. Galvanised Munster. Did you think it was going to be that important at the time?
I don't know. I suppose we've been on the ropes for a long time, but 20 minutes of the first half, Leinster really came at us hammer and tongs, a bit like last week against Northampton in the second half, and we just really had to dig in there, and I suppose I was lucky myself and James Collin, who did great work as well, and we managed to just snaffle the ball there and get a bit of momentum back.
Leinster just going up for their losers awards shortly there. What does it mean for Irish rugby? Okay, you can't hear us. Okay, well done anyway, David. We'll let you go. Cheers.
David Wallace has got work to do, and Thomond Park is about to erupt. It's time for the trophy. They're used to this, are the Munster faithful, but they will enjoy every single second of it. Let's go back to Gareth Charles to talk us through it. Charlo.
It's been a long, hard season, and every ounce was given on the big occasion to finish things off. Nothing but nothing was held back. And each one deserves not just the medal, but the applause. And even the youth players who have been injured are part of the scene here with Ronan O'Gara. That is the family that is Munster rugby. That's what rugby means in this part. And that's what Munster had to dig deep to find when Leinster came back and led them going into the final quarter. But it was impossible to choose between the two teams. Paul Derbyshire, the former coach, who is suffering from motor neuron disease, very much in the hearts and minds of Munster, formerly part of the coaching setup here. The last of the players prepare to go onto the field. Lifeimi Mafi, who created the first try. Paul O'Connell, the hard-working captain, and Ronan O'Gara, whose boot again guided Munster home. Champions in 2003, champions in 2009, and the final Magners League champions, and deservingly so, in 2011, and Munster. They've known celebrations in Thomond Park. They've known hard times in Thomond Park as well. But the good days are back. And in an all-Ireland final, it's kept us spellbound from start to finish. The praise being heaped on both teams, but particularly on the winners, Munster, are thoroughly, thoroughly deserving. The players of Munster want the former conditioning coach Paul Derbyshire to enjoy the moment as well. And that is the camaraderie that rugby is all about. It is all about winning as well. It is all about the trophies. And the final Magners League trophy is in the safe hands of the former British Lions captain, Paul O'Connell. Munster, Magners League champions.
Well, congratulations to Munster. They are enjoying it, and one thing they do manage to do, you see this in this part of Ireland, you see it in Limerick, it is like a family. Everyone seems to buy into it. It really, really matters to everyone who follows them. Even people who don't come to the game seem to have an opinion and seem to really care. And Jonathan, that's shown by the treatment of Paul Derbyshire.
Well, Paul Derbyshire, you know, he's from the northwest of England. He's been here as a conditioning course, and just to see him there, you know, it's so sad. And the community, it's just an amazing place to come and you know, to watch and support rugby, and to see Paul there. As Mike and I were talking, you know, you don't know what's around the corner, boys. You know, that guy was one of the toughest players I played with, and it's just been, you know, stricken down with you know, with illness. But it's just, you know, he is delighted to be here, I suppose, and it's how you know, how high they regard him and rugby in this region. It's fantastic, and it's lovely to see him there.
Let's have a little word on Leinster as well, shall we? Because European champions, of course, they've had a great season, even if they did lose today. Kingsley Jones has been looking at the analysis tapes for us, and they did have their chances, Kingsley.
Yeah, I think they had so much momentum at one stage, but it's a game of missed opportunities. Here, just straighten and fix the number 9. Decides to run out O'Driscoll then. He just needs to put O'Driscoll into that space, but O'Driscoll decides to come back on a short angle. And that's an opportunity gone. Another opportunity here. Great tackle from Felix Jones, tackled all day. But for me, there, he should be staying out wide. Sexton's throwing a wide pass, and he's no option outside with the space. And again, key point of the game. Lovely move round the back of the line out. It's already been mentioned. What's coming up? Fantastic defence from Wallace. But, you know, what I was really surprised with during the game was the fact they had a yellow card awarded, opportunity to take a scrum under the post and maybe get the most of the momentum that being created in the first 15 minutes of that second half.
Kings, thanks very much indeed. Let's put some sort of context on this then, boys, shall we? Because it's World Cup year next year, Rob. Munster and Leinster seem clearly to be a step ahead of the competition in the Magners League. You never know with World Cup year, but do you expect it to be Munster and Leinster dominating again next season in a Magners context?
Well, they certainly have the quality. They've got some very experienced players. Some of those, I'm sure, will be looking to finish off in the not too distant future. But probably for the next 12 or so months, you know, these two sides will probably show the way. And for Irish rugby, well, what a great condition Irish rugby is in at the moment. Probably the leading players in the British Isles are playing over here.
And this man's had a hand in it. Brian O'Driscoll and the like came through when you were Leinster head coach. Ireland under-20s head coach now. What is coming through? What are the youngsters like?
Yeah, particularly the Leinster Academy is very, very good. Don't forget as well, of course, in the Senior Magners League, that Ulster were third. So Irish rugby is in a good place. You know, they'll be delighted with today's advert for Irish rugby. And there's a lot of competition for places, obviously. But you know, there is a very good setup here in terms of academy structures. Ulster, particularly, you've got some very good backs coming through into the under-20s this year. So I'm sure some of those will push on. Already, Craig Gilroy, for example, is one who's played Magners League, Paddy Jackson and Luke Marshall. So, you know, there's players coming through already in Irish rugby.
I think they buy very well, you know, the regions. You just look at Ulster this year, and you know, they look very, very strong. You know, the back five, back row, all the backs, you know, the Sextons coming through. So, but maybe the one weak area is the front row, because there's a lot of overseas players in the region, and we saw that today. So, going on an international level, maybe trying to find, you know, replacements in the front row. But, you know, as we've seen, 1, 2, 3 in the Magners League, hey, that's not bad.
So how far behind are the Welsh regions at the moment then, on the evidence of what we've seen today?
I just look at the pace and the intensity of today. I mean, and the desire. I mean, it's something about Irish rugby. We saw it last week in the Heineken Cup final. There's no way that they will sort of lay down and die. They just keep going. There's a real desire and ambition there. And I think we tend to lack that.
I don't think there is a big difference. I think the biggest thing we have is game awareness and understanding of what's going on at a particular time. And what we've seen is the Irish can do that because they've got game breakers and people who scan. There's not different. You know, I've seen games this year with high intensity, especially with the regions take on these Irish sides, you know. Great games. The difference is that game management. I don't know what it is, the difference is just that at the moment, that at regional level and international level, and maybe more so Southern Hemisphere.
We'll leave it there, I think. Mike, thanks for your time. Jonathan, Rob as well, thanks very much indeed. Just to let you know, Scrum 5 is back tomorrow, 6:10 on BBC Two Wales. We've got Warren Gatland and Gwyn Jones on Wales. Rob's in studio as well. Brian Moore's Mouth is back. It meets its match as well, I think it's fair to say. But that's it from Thomond Park. Munster are the Magners League champions. Leinster are the European champions. It's fair to say the end of a season which for Irish rugby has gone completely to plan.